Are you going to say action?
Okay, guys, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, episode 9, Damage Done podcast. If you guys don't know, this is a show of two ex-heroin addicts. We talk about things like therapy, joy, pain, murder, redemption. So, been a couple weeks since our last episode, and we're going to have some fantastic stuff lined up this week, following week, and a few weeks after that. And Shane, take it away. Introduce who we got today.
So we got Ryan and my younger brother Dean in the studio tonight. Wanted to think tonight will be a very special episode. I want you guys talk a little bit about what you're up to now, and then we'll kind of backtrack and talk about how we all four got to the point where we're at now.
Yeah, we need to know who. You tell the world we are in 7 different countries according to Spotify, so we are international. So tell the world who you guys are. Ryan, let's start with you.
Tell the world who we are.
Yep, that's what we're doing.
Well, your request was to start with what we're up to.
Yeah,
what we're up to now.
You guys do some good work.
Yeah, I mean, so Dean and I started a company about a year or so ago that more or less is consulting, interventions, case management, and companion. So, and we're dealing with people that are primarily struggling with mental health and substance abuse issues.
So would you say you guys are creating an ecosystem to help people with addiction and mental health issues? That's what's going on? Like you guys are quarterbacking some of the main, I guess the main paths, or you're paving those, you guys have paved the way through your experiences, right? If I follow correctly. Absolutely. But what you guys are doing, you're saying through intervention, through, I guess, what you're playing, something like community connection, bonding, kind of referral network, word of mouth, but also integrating with treatment centers. It's an all-in-one ecosystem, essentially. Fair to say?
You could call it that. Yeah.
What would you call it, Dean?
Yeah, I would call it quarterbacking care. And you and I were fortunate enough to, I had one of our participants in a place that Mason used to be a counselor at. And so I think you have a pretty good idea of what we do, from, individualizing care, showing up for the person, making him feel special, and just guiding him, walking him through his path.
What's that been like during the pandemic? It's one thing that gets talked about sometimes, but it's much more quiet than normal. Obviously, there's a pandemic going on. There's a lot of shit going on in the world with the mental health. There's studies out there that show that addiction rate up, relapse up, overdosing, suicide up. Have you guys found more challenges through this pandemic dealing with that? What's that look like?
Yeah, I think it's been challenging. Luckily for us, being a smaller organization and having the capabilities to be flexible and nimble, for the person that I was just discussing,
yes,
we were able to set up when the treatment centers weren't working and the sober livings weren't working and there were behavioral issues. We were able to set up during COVID an Airbnb with somebody with him 24/7 as a recovery advocate and companion, and bring a private yoga teacher by and have a therapist come by and, observe CDC guidelines and still be safe about it, and have a psychiatrist that he really vibed with, and really like build a whole team around him. And then Ryan and I would pop by multiple times a week. We'd offer support to the coach and advocate. We'd offer support to the participant. And that was a super cool thing to be able to provide and to do.
Yeah. And is that a typical experience with that individual? Is that typically how those experiences go with your clients? Like you guys are always in that position to have the bandwidth to think on your feet and set up something like an Airbnb and then get them to this treatment center? Or are there more, I guess, specific outline methods of taking care of individuals?
So I think the one main issue or main struggle that I think everybody in the sober world and just in the world in general has had difficulties due to COVID is the community piece. And so as amazing as that was to set up and to have this little ecosystem of whatever community we could provide and Zoom AA meetings, you lose some of it not being able to you can utilize nature and surfing and tennis, and you can get outside.
Yeah.
But not being able to go and to introduce him to a certain group of people or a certain friend, I think that's probably been the hardest part about COVID, is just that lack of community that's so necessary for wellness.
Do you guys find yourself having to more take on that role of community since there's more isolation? Like, you guys have to be more involved, or is it more logistical, or what's that like? You get what I'm asking?
Yeah, I would say we're going to do whatever we possibly can to fulfill the community aspect. I mean, that is one of the biggest pieces for us. As far as somebody's well-being, a community, we have 4 pillars that are kind of the foundation of what we would focus on. Or if we were to sit down with somebody, we would look at those 4 pillars per se and see kind of what do those things look like currently, and then how can we help you improve in those areas. So as far as how we've handled it during the pandemic, I mean, we still do everything that we possibly can to implement or provide a sense of community. I think that no matter what, we always step in as much as we possibly can, and each person's different. We just had a guy that was in his mid-40s that fortunately already kind of had his own recovery community, who had previously been plugged in the AA community and fell off for a few weeks. And so it was an easier segue to be like, hey man, let's get you back in touch with your sponsor. Let's get you back going to your meetings, and more or less get him grounded. Whereas we had somebody early on when this pandemic started that had no experience in recovery, came out here from the East Coast and spent 60 days in an inpatient treatment center and really had no understanding or experience with treatment other than by way of Zoom. And that was something that was really challenging, and we just did the best that we could with the circumstances, that we were up against, more or less. And so in that case, we had that person meeting with somebody via Zoom for yoga. I mean, it was just like, you got to do what you've got to do, and you got to get creative. I mean, we can't just say, oh, we're screwed because this sucks and we're just not going to do anything. So we do what we can to fill in the gaps as best as I think anybody could.
I mean, how creative did we used to get when we had to go out and get what we needed to get when we were out running and gunning, right? Like that's one kind of characteristic that I think, addicts have, when we're using, it's, maybe a detriment, but when we're, connected and doing what we're supposed to be doing, it can definitely be an asset, that liability that is converted into an asset. I would say one thing that's probably, I don't know, I've had my own journey and experience through recovery, and I definitely didn't have a treatment team around me. I don't even think a treatment team could have tamed me when I was wanting to do what I wanted to do. But what I will say is that I think you guys maybe, and you can elaborate on this or not, might have like a little bit of an advantage as well, because both of you were drug addicts and junkies.
Yeah, I think that's important to point out.
So you can kind of relate on, and we'll touch on what.
In fact, all 4 of us on this episode were very heavy intravenous, IV drug users, which in my opinion, I say this, maybe everyone around me feels uncomfortable with me saying this shit, but I think it makes everything we talk about here carry that much more weight. It's not very often that 4 people that did the shit that we did, which we'll get into, could sit here and talk about shit like this.
Well, I mean, the fact that 4 of us are here, like, sober and not doing that, I don't know what the odds are, but the odds
slim odds,
slim to none,
1 to 5% probably.
Yeah, so I mean,
I'll just say amen to that.
Amen to that. Also, I wanted to backtrack. Tell everyone the name of your company, first of all.
Yeah,
get that out there.
Spearhead Health. Check us out.
That's right.
Please.
Spearhead Health. And it seems that you guys have the bandwidth to do everything, because there's a lot of people that listen to this, family, friends, other people. I've had people from damn England message just trying to understand addiction and what they're going through. And a lot of people think that an addict is what they see, I don't know, in movies or something like that. Then they try to justify, like, oh, my son's not that bad, my daughter's not that bad. Is there any level of care that you wouldn't offer? What would you say to those people that are like worried about their loved ones, worried about themselves? Like, are you guys the people that can lead them there with any depth of their addiction, or is there certain levels to it? That's what I wanted to get out of the way as
Sure.
well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we can provide every level of care. What I can say is that we can help you navigate the process and get you into a solid place after getting to know the person well enough to say, hey, this seems like an appropriate placement for you.
It's a personalized approach, essentially.
Yeah,
correct?
and so our goal, I mean, I'll say I went through this on and off for 11 years, and the first treatment center I went to, I was 15 years old, and that was started off by me walking into my mom's living room. My parents were divorced, and handing her a pack of needles on the table as she sat on her computer and saying, hey, I need help. And
So you were shooting heroin at 15?
15. Yeah, it's fucking crazy to think about at this point, or hard to believe, but yeah.
Yeah, that's
15,
interesting.
I was like playing football, like not even.
I smoked weed
I
a
was
couple
popping
times at
some
15.
ecstasies and like
I didn't
smoking
do
and
that
stuff.
shit.
Maybe,
You
I
guys
don't
are
know.
way more advanced. I smoked weed for the first time maybe like 13. I thought it was a big fucking deal. Like, yo, this is.
But at
Guess what?
15, you knew how to register and everything on your own?
Eventually,
that.
after I got lightheaded in the shower trying to do it on my own a couple times. Yeah.
How did that start? So this, in my opinion, is like what qualifies you guys to put you in the position to know what people need for fucking change in their lives. So let's focus on you. I'm gonna make you as uncomfortable as possible to get as comfortable as possible, because I
Sure.
know you have some interesting shit to say. How the fuck at 15 years old, all of us still ended up in the same situation, IVing drugs, heroin, cocaine, love that shit. You did it at 15. How did that start? Where did it start? You started out of the womb, like drinking beer? Like, what's up, dude?
How it started, I think for me, I don't ever want to be the person that is the guy that's known for pinpointing it to any one thing, because I think that every person's path as to how they get where they are is so unique.
Fair.
And what I've seen in my experience or in my journey so often is that if you go to certain treatment centers or you deal with certain people, they want to immediately attribute it to X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And I have seen, at least in my experience, from my own experience and working with a bunch of people, that a lot of it has to do with how they grew up and who
Sure.
they were around and who were their friends. For me personally, it was like, I was a big sports guy. Dad was yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am.
Yeah.
Mom was free, run the streets. Oh, me and my buddy are going to go ring and run in the 5th grade, and my mom's laughing as we make jackass videos.
Love
More or
that.
less, like, that was cool. And my
Love
dad's
that.
like, what are you doing, Maria? Like, why is my son doing this? You know, my parents got divorced in the 2nd grade. And so there was this interesting dynamic where my dad was like the straight edge, yes or no, sir. And mom's like, I find my mom's weed in the 5th grade. And that was kind of the start of drugs for me. And I was
How old were you at the time? You're saying
10.
10. Nice.
And so I loved skateboarding. It was kind of my thing as a young kid. And so I was going to the skate park, and I made friends at the skate park. And then one of the guys I was a friend with had an older brother that was like 2 or 3 years older in the 8th grade. And we start hanging out. He has an older brother that's in college and at East Carolina, and that's known as a party school in
Okay.
North Carolina. And so I'd go spend the night at their house on the weekends, and it was like, oh, let's go over to Michael's house, and we'd sit in a circle, and I'd hit the bowl a couple times and eat a bunch of Ritz crackers.
Was it a big deal to you at that point? I remember when I was smoking weed for the
Yeah.
first time, it was like a
Oh
big
yeah,
deal.
yeah. It was
It's a
definitely
fucking
a
sick
big deal.
novelty.
It
You're like,
was
this is
crazy.
Shit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's head back to the house and get the Ritz
Ritz
crackers
crackers.
with my dry throat and eat
Yeah.
a bunch of Ritz crackers. I
That's
don't know
tight.
what I
Fuck
was
with that.
thinking at the time, but that was kind of the start of it. And I think just as I got older, you know, it was always like an older person of a friend. So the next was my other good friend. His older cousin, he went on a camping trip once and told him about mushrooms and course seed and cough and cold. And I'm like,
triple
what the hell
C's.
are triple C's,
Yep.
you know? And then by the time we're in the 7th grade, we're going to CVS, stealing
Stealing that
packs
shit.
of
He would put on
triple
the
C's.
put on
That
the
shit's
basketball
that shit's
short.
for amateurs, though.
No,
I mean, I
it's
guess
not.
in
Not
seventh
when
grade,
you're in
but-
7th grade, dude. You go into like the Targets, put on
I never
sweatpants,
understood that shit. I mean, 7th grade.
You
put
don't
a
know
bunch of
when
triple
you're-
C's in your pants.
You don't know any better.
No, for sure.
My understanding of drugs at that point in time was like, drugs are bad. 5th grade, Dare came to my school
Of course,
with
they
like a shadow box of drugs, showed you people that use these drugs. And so I had that association, and then I had my mom. And I found her weed, and I'm like, well, what's the truth here? Because my mom
Ooh.
smokes weed. She's not homeless. Who do I trust? What can I believe? Like, my mom has a pretty good life. She seems cool.
Yeah.
And so immediately at a young age, I'm like, well, what's true? And so I just start trying things, and seemingly I'm fine. I'm still doing really well on the football team. I'm still doing really well starting third baseman. I'm like doing all these things. Externally, my life isn't drastically changing enough for me to be what I thought your life would be like if you use these substances.
Yeah, you
And
think
for
it's the end
me-
of the world. You smoke
For
one hit.
me, it was like the guy that's passed out with a brown bag of alcohol behind the dumpster in the alleyway behind the smoothie shop where I grew up. Like, that was what I had originally thought. And so as I continued trying things as I got older, I'd do them and I'd be like, oh, okay, well, it's really not that bad. And so I go through middle school, I continue to smoke weed. I don't really do anything other than steal my mom's tequila, take some triple C's every now and then, and smoke weed. And then I get to high school, and my freshman year was just kind of like the floodgates opened.
So you went from weed, mushroom, triple C's to now we're on at high school, but 14
Yeah.
years old, 15.
Yeah.
But
so-
what I will say though too is that there's this like underlying progression that we don't really see or notice, because I remember too when I started doing what I was doing, and I was really a good student and was like, you know, in advanced classes in school and like whatever, like I did what I needed to do. We played sports, not that I was the most athletic, but I played sports, you know. But there was like a progression to the thing. Even at 15, we're starting to do ecstasy, we're drinking. Am I doing that every day? Absolutely not. On the weekends, I'm doing it, right? Then like a couple weekends later, my boys are starting to fucking blow coke. And it's like, I don't like that. For me, that I don't know why I thought ecstasy wasn't bad at all, but coke was like, there's no way I'll ever do that. And that was at 16. And then 2 years later, I'm like fucking addicted to coke at 18 and studying with an 8-ball instead of Adderall because I liked coke more. But there was this like progression of, I'm going to start here and I'm never going to get there. And then all of a sudden it's like, you get involved with doing this and doing that. And
You start crossing lines you didn't think you were going to cross.
yeah, and you start selling narcotics and doing them more, and you're around them more, and then the oxys come around, and then more coke comes around, and then fast forward a few years, you know, I'm sitting in my brother's I think we're on the kitchen floor.
area, yeah.
He like calls me strung out on heroin, and I'm like, oh, well, it's a novel idea to like go and shoot up heroin with him to see what he's dealing with, and then we'll like conquer it together.
Wait, you guys wanted to conquer heroin together?
I think Shane wanted to be like big brother and check in on how I was doing or why I was doing what I was doing,
Got it.
and was just using OC 80s.
That's
Yeah.
what you guys were just doing at that time? That's how I got first
Well,
introduced to
I
it.
remember like I came back. I think I was like bouncing around. I went to like 6 colleges in 5 years, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like doing the whole campus tour from like Arkansas to Arizona State. You know, there was like a couple of community colleges there in between, and then and finally it was like, yo, you know, like get your ass back to Texas and finish school, or like we don't know what you're doing. My parents were more or less saying. We got, you know, you have 2 younger brothers that are in college as well. He put me in touch with a bunch of his connections, and then I remember the intention was to go back to Texas State and like finish school and like really be studious. That was like what my mind told me. But like as soon as I got there, I was like low on money, and I was like, Dean, I need like Dean was doing things in Austin, had nice shit, had money. I was like, I need the plugs, and he's like, no problem. Go see my boy in San Antonio. And that's when it was like I was running like a Walgreens pharmacy out of my house, you know. And that's when the narcotics really leveled up. But my point being is like he called me, he was struggling. He was like, yo, I started shooting heroin. I met a girl. I can't stop.
That's beautiful.
He was like looking sickly when I saw him. He was wearing a winter coat in Texas in the dead of summer. Like this, like
It's a telltale giveaway. You're
we're
on
not-
drugs.
Arms up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Fuck
not
yeah.
in Aspen, dude. It's 110 degrees and you have a ski jacket on.
Bless your heart, Dean. Bless your heart.
And he called me and he's like, I'm struggling. And I remember getting in the car and telling my friend next to me what I was going to do. And he was like, I don't think that that's a clever idea at all. Like, let's just talk about this out loud. We're going to go drive to Dean's apartment. You're going to shoot heroin with him. And then you guys are going to beat it together. And I was like, yep.
Really?
This was
That
with
was-
Michael.
Yeah. And
So
he's like, that sounds crazy, but all right, let's go.
So
And-
you drove with the intention like I'm shooting some heroin with my brother when I get there. Like that was what it was. Not to save him, not to stop
I know that
him.
sounds crazy.
I know,
but
it-
like
it
when
is-
your
no, it
mind's
is
already
crazy, for
polluted
sure.
though,
No,
what
I
what came to
understand
my
that.
mind is like
Yeah.
I need to understand what my kid brother is going through, because if he was like in hell, I would jump down in hell to be with
No,
him.
that's respectable. I get that, but that's fucking wild.
Yeah,
dude.
it's crazy. And
Yeah.
so we went there,
Yeah.
and this kid's
Nuts.
already fucking twacked out,
Yes.
sweating, like, like looking at me googly eyed, and I'm like, yo, I got a fucking economics exam in an hour and 45 minutes or whatever, and he's like, all right, so sit down, and we're like sitting in the kitchen or living room on the ground. And I had like roadmap veins in the beginning. Like I
Me
didn't
too.
need a tourniquet.
Nope.
Like, I had good blood flow. Like you didn't need any of
Is
that.
that
It was-
everyone's experience here? Because I fucking easy at first. Was it
Oh,
easy
yeah,
for you at
real
first?
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't need to tie off nothing. You could hit me from across the room with it, like you're playing fucking darts.
Okay.
And he sits there and he like misses, and it was like a sign from the universe, like this is not a door that you should go down. And it like instantly swelled up and it hurt immediately, and I wanted to grab him by the throat, but I was like so gun ho on really trying this thing out and seeing so that I could help.
You want to take heroin for a test drive, huh?
And then he hit me
He
with the next one. He hit me, and it was just like
Another
it's a
one bites
whole
the
nother
dust,
level,
buddy.
dude.
It'll get you.
And then for the next 6 years, I think, if not longer, it was every day.
Just shooting mad amounts of heroin mixed with
And
cocaine.
coke and ketamine.
Well,
You
the
shot
first
ketamine
time
with it too?
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
tried
Well,
that.
the
I've never
first
tried
time that I'd done the shooting, the
Tight.
speedball, I didn't even know this fool played a trick on me. He had some coke and he sprinkled it in there, and he like came over all like a giddy and excited, like I got the shots ready, and I'm like, okay, like this fool's happy right now. Because he was playing like a sick joke, and I did it, and like 10 seconds later, he's like, "You feel that?" And I'm like, "Feel what?" And
Yeah,
he's
I
like,
don't even remember that.
"He's like, do you like that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it feels a little different." He's like, "I sprinkled coke in there," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then it
That's
was
so
like,
weird.
"All right, yeah, I like that a lot more." So it was like, then it became speedballs.
Then it was like only speedballs.
Yeah,
It's like
only.
I would rarely just
Yeah, I could
shoot
never.
heroin
And
without
back
some
to your
really
point
good
though
cocaine.
too, like when you said triple C. I mean, ever since I was a young age and like emulated rappers or was at like the Jewish camp and like I like whatever, but I always fancied myself like a connoisseur. Like when we started smoking weed real young, my cousins had like the White Widow from fucking California.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd never seen weed, but when I saw it, it made it like, holy shit, like that's what weed's supposed to look like. So when we're 15 for the first time and actually smoke it and my boys bring over seeds and stems, I'm like, this isn't like good weed, man. I don't
Fucking snob, dude.
I don't know much, but there
Fucking
shouldn't be
snob, huh?
seeds crackling in the fucking pipe. You know what I mean? So that's all I was saying is that I always fancied myself a connoisseur. So like triple C's were like, man, just go get some lean or something. Obviously not at seventh grade, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, always tried to reach for like the finest of good.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Yeah,
You're a
of
fucking
course.
snob right out the get go, huh? You're like, this is not good weed. You're like, this is the best we have to offer, man. Did you guys all have the same issue? You shot speedballs too?
I never really was I didn't really like the uppers. Man.
Really? Yeah, no, I love
did
mixing
a few
it.
times, but it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, my buddy, you guys know Joey M.
Oh yeah.
He's the one
yeah.
that was like my quote unquote dog. I didn't know how to shoot, and then he was just like, "Hey man, try this," and he dumped it one day, and I couldn't do it any other
Good
way.
man. Is he
Yeah.
still alive?
I could thank God as of
Okay.
right now, Martello, if you're
I hope
listening
so.
to this, you fucking piece of shit. But I love you. But anyways,
Yeah,
so,
because when we lived together, you were just like smoking shit off foil.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
like got your life together real quickly and
yeah,
like,
and then
stuck your nose up a little bit. Oh, like yeah, you
yeah,
yo, you use
yeah.
needles, bro.
Yeah,
Nah,
that
like,
was me. That was me for a
I
long
just
time.
used Reynolds foil. I'm like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
bro.
You're like, Mason, there's a different level to this shit. I'm like, come on, man. I just went to jail for 6 months. I fucking knew better than you. Like, no, the fuck I didn't. Then I started shooting heroin. And not only did I start shooting heroin, that wasn't enough because then you mix the coke with that shit. Sometimes meth, but I didn't like it that much. But with the coke, it would get to points because I would have the Paisa delivery service out in the valley. So they would operate 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And you buy heroin and coke from them. But it would be like 1 in the morning and I'd run out of coke. And then fucking I would have like a couple grams of heroin and I would not shoot the heroin and I would end up getting sick And I guess when I realized it was insane, as I'm sitting in some shitty motel off Winnetka in the Valley, this is like it's shitty over there, whatever. And Joey's like, dude, why are you waiting till 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning to call this fool? Like, you're getting sick. Shoot the drugs, fall asleep so you could wake up faster. It didn't register with me. Like, I can't shoot heroin. Like, it was like the drug was incomplete. Like, I can't shoot this drug without coke mixed with it. So that's how sick that shit gets. And if you see my goddamn arms, not winter coat in mid Texas, it's an appropriate shirt right now. But fucking, it's fucked up because then you get to a point where you just sit in a room for weeks. I think it was 2 weeks at a time. That's how I got these scars on my arm real bad. I just used the same 29 gauge dull needles over and over again. Like, I wouldn't want to go to Walgreens to get new needles. I just wanted to walk to the CVS that didn't sell you needles just to pull out money and meet the dealer. And so I would cycle through the same 20 needles all the time. That's how sick it gets after a while. So there's always more levels to that shit. And thank God we're all alive.
Yeah, but it wasn't always dark. Like, we graduated college. We got to travel the world. We went to Europe.
I did that, yeah.
We were in Ibiza for a while, Barcelona. We bounced around to Amsterdam. Like,
with a heroin habit?
Arsenal. We did bring an arsenal.
So you were traveling the world with a heroin habit?
No, so we shot some dope. We shot our last shot in the bathroom stall at the airport.
Nice.
And then I had a bunch of like oxys and yellows
Right.
and bars, like a lot.
Well equipped.
Yeah, well equipped, but that didn't last the whole trip.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you start trying to fucking piece those out like they're vitamins. Vitamins will last you a whole trip, but drugs don't.
No, they won't, dude. I would bring. I mean, I
was in
I didn't go
Israel for a month at the tail end of that trip. Like, just get me the fuck back home. Like, I don't want these subs anymore. I need some shit, man. But
yeah, I'd always get sick on the tail end of my trip, or basically less than halfway in, because I would bring the drugs. I'd portion them out of multivitamin packs. I thought I was slick. Like, if I bring multivitamins and put OC80s and Roxys in here, not getting this taken by airport security. However, it was portioned out for, I don't know, 7, 10 days, 5 days in. It's gone. It's all bad, dude. So I hear that.
But it just makes me think, like, we could talk about the crazy stories. I mean, like, enough to write a book or one day, like, make a movie.
Speaking of stories, I want to now shine the light back in. We'll fuse this shit together to him.
Sure.
He's over there at 15, way before us, when we're just discovering weed, drinking,
What was before
grabbing
before
boobs?
time,
I don't
man.
fucking know, dude. Just like shit,
Trendsetter over there.
just like whatever. And dude's out there playing baseball, hot corner, third base, doing something. You said third base, right?
Yeah.
Hot corner. Yep. Okay. So here we are in high school now, and you're starting to graduate not just from middle school to high school, but you're graduating to harder drugs. Again, how the F did that happen at 15?
It was just the progression, which Shane kind of spoke to. I got to high school, and obviously high school is a totally different experience than middle school.
Sure.
You know, immediately I feel like you're thrown into this ecosystem of just like breeding who's the strongest, who's the coolest, who's the whatever.
Yeah, and you're hitting puberty.
There's groups,
like,
and there's
yeah,
seniors,
sure.
and there's juniors, and there's freshmen, and you're
Different
the freshman, and me, I'm like, I want to be the cool kid,
Of course.
you know. And so I find some cool people, and then I end up with older friends, and
It's back to
you
people
know,
being older
I'm
than
still playing football at this point, and eventually that's you know, I guess I can get to that at some point or another. But
you. Yeah.
I just continued to do the things that I was already doing, and then as time went on, I ended up at a party, and hey, do you want to try this? And I'm like, sure. I try it, and I go to school on Monday. Everything's fine.
Wait,
you
try
know?
what? You're at a party?
I'll try some pills. I'll try
okay,
some
got it. I didn't know if
hydrocodone,
someone
or
just
I'm
fucking hands you a needle. You want to try this?
No,
You're like, fuck yeah, run
no.
it. Okay,
I'd be
got it,
out at
it.
a party on a Friday
Got
night, and in high school was like everybody'd get their
Here's
own
some
case of
Norcos, here's some
beer, and now
Xanax.
I'm drinking more than I was drinking in
Got
the
it.
past. It was no longer a couple of drinks; it was a case of beer, and then it was this pill, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to keep paying for weed. Let me make some money off of it. And I had friends that I grew up with that were selling it, and I'm like, well, let me get an ounce. And at the time it was swag, and I got a shitty bag of weed, and I start selling swag, and then I get cooler with some of the seniors in the high school that are connected to people at Appalachian State in the mountains that get the good bud, and now I'm like cool because I got the good bud. And next thing you know, my mom's house is like the 7-Eleven, and everybody's stopping by every Friday from most high schools to grab an eighth of weed or whatever.
Okay.
And I'm progressively trying more and more drugs, and I'd go back to school Monday through Friday. I start skipping some school,
Of course.
and but everything else, like, I'm doing fine in school. Haven't completely destroyed everything. I'm definitely missing more school, and in my sophomore year, I wasn't able to play football anymore because I had too many absences. And then one night, I was at a really good girlfriend of mine's house, and by that point, I had tried cocaine once, and like I didn't really like it. I did it one night, sat in the corner. It made me really quiet. It wasn't my thing. But again, it was that association to like, well, I'd heard if you do this, you end up like this. And I didn't end up that way. And so I continued on with this mindset of like, well, maybe they're just lying to me, and it's just portrayed as bad because some people take it to the next level. And so that mindset carried me on to continue trying things.
Yeah.
And eventually I'm at a good girlfriend's house, middle of the night, probably 1 a.m, sitting downstairs. Everyone's upstairs doing whatever they're doing at that point. Maybe 10 people left. I'm one of the last ones there. And if I stayed at my mom's house, it didn't really matter. I could spend the night out. I could come home at 3 a.m, whatever was clever. And that night, her older stepbrother walked into the house, and my cousin had actually just overdosed from heroin maybe 2 or 3 months before that. And I didn't really know much about heroin, but I knew that her stepbrother had issues with it and was on methadone. And I didn't know much about methadone. And I had met him a couple of times and bought some weed. And actually, I think he was probably the first person that I bought like an Oxy from and some Xanax.
Got it.
And so when he walked in the house that night, he just looked like he was on a whole other level. And I'm down there with him by myself. Everyone's upstairs. I'm like, man, what are you all, these are probably my exact words. I'm like, man, what are you all fucked up on? I'm like, it's that heroin, isn't it? He's like, man, it might be. I'm like, dude, how are you not afraid to put needles in your arms? Like, to me, that was, I didn't know at the time you could sniff it or anything. So that was an issue in my head. But I'm like, how does that, are you not like afraid of dying? And anybody that knows me knows I ask 100 questions.
Yeah, you're a very curious
That's
person,
like my survival mechanism.
Really?
So I'm like,
Love it. That's cool.
I'm like, you're not afraid of dying? Like, what does it feel like? And eventually he's like, man, it's really not that bad. It's just the name people give it. And there you go. Like, for me, it's like, okay, that leads to the next
all
thing.
you needed.
And that's more
Wow.
confirmation of like, well, they told me this in DARE and I didn't end up that way. So maybe it's not that bad and I can try this out. And so I'm like, man, well, what does it look like? How much does it cost? And I got a few bags upstairs, man. You wanna? So the next thing you know, I walk up to the 3rd floor. He had the whole 3rd floor of the house, and he busts open this little tinfoil thing that had brown powder in it. I'm like, that's it. And I'm like, okay, I'll get a bag from you. So he hands me the bag, and
You're like, now
sniff
what?
the bag.
Oh, you sniffed it at first.
Yeah, I sniffed it, and I'm like, oh my God, I fell in love. I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, there was nothing else I had ever felt like that in my entire life.
Absolutely.
And I remember that night, like, eventually I left and I started walking home to my mom's house. And we were kind of in the same neighborhood. It would have probably been like a 20-minute walk. And one of my friends, like older friends, called me and was like, hey man, what are you doing? This is like 1 a.m. I wasn't expecting. I'm like, yeah, I'm just walking home. You want to pick me up? So that was kind of the beginning. I go home and I remember sitting in the chill room, was what it was called, at my mom's, and I'm there with her and her other buddy, and we just used to watch videos and play FIFA. And I just remember sitting there just nodding out. And at that time, no one's thinking that, oh, this guy's on heroin.
No.
And so that was the start of the heroin. And I think it was the next weekend, like, I was always with the same group of guys. Like, there was like 6 of us. We always ran together. So if you couldn't reach me on my phone, if you called one of them and said, hey, are you with Ryan? I probably was with one of them. And so the next weekend, I remember there were probably like 3 or 4 of us in the car. We'd cruise around and smoke weed. And I'm like, man, you guys are going to think I'm crazy. But it's really not that bad. It's just the name people.
You told him the same thing that dude told you.
Literally, to like make myself feel better about what I was gonna do. And before you know it, like, the whole crew was now trying heroin, and as we continue,
What was that like when they first did it? Did they feel the same way you felt? Like it was like
yeah,
justification
I think
for your
everybody
decision?
really loved it, you know,
Of
and
course.
that was like it was no longer just like the heroin feeling good. There was something cool that came with like no one else is doing this and
Mm.
no one knows. Like there was like this
Because how-
secretive
yeah.
thing that was like I got off on.
Interesting.
And so there was that piece as well. And, you know, eventually the guy would meet with him and he'd be like, man, it's much better if you let me hit you.
What?
And I'm like,
How long ago? How long into the fucking doing
this
that with
is
your
like
crew? Pretty
probably a
soon?
week after, you know, he's telling
Oh,
me
he's
that.
already telling you need to fucking up your game.
Yeah.
Fucking,
Yeah.
You'd like to
More or
sniff it,
less,
brother,
it's
but
like, yeah, man, it's much better if you let me. And then I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're wasting it the other way.
I'm like,
right?
yeah, I don't know about
so
that.
what happened there? So you said I don't
So
know
then
about that.
another night, middle of the night, I'm up late and coming home from a party. My friend Dragan needed to take me home, and I'm like, dude, just drop me at James's. I'm gonna let him hit me. And by that time, he's
What? You just got all willy nilly. You're just like I'm fucking doing.
because I was on Xanax and
Oh,
been
got it.
drinking,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm
that
not.
checks
I'm,
out.
Liquid
you know, I'm
courage.
like
more
whatever.
than that. The
you know,
Xanax,
like,
the Xanax and
whatever.
alcohol thing makes you. It's all
Yeah,
bets
so-
are off for sure.
I pull up and get out of the car, and he literally walks outside of the door connected to the garage and is like hunting overalls. And I put my arm out, and after that, I'm like, yeah, I'll never sniff it again. And that was
That's fucking wild, dude.
kind of like all she wrote, you know.
Yeah.
And so then from that point, it's, you know, it was 11 years of on and off hell, man. And I think 3 months after that, I was in Spanish 3. It was my start of my, I think my junior year of high school.
Yeah.
Or my sophomore year of high
Yeah,
school.
you're already in
Spanish 3.
and so you're good.
And I start feeling hot and cold, and I'm like, I have no idea why. It's like the first week of school, and at that point, I'm like, yeah, this is not cool. I walk.
How
out
do
of
I
the
have the
class-
flu in the summer?
Yeah, I walk out of the classroom to the bathroom, and I call the guy that I was getting it from. He's like, man, you're dope sick. And at the time, I don't have any. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yes.
You know, I'm like kind of pissed at this point. I'm not happy about this situation.
Of course. There's nothing.
And
nice
I don't
about
remember
it.
how, but I left school, went home. My mom had 2 cars. I took her car. He was telling me he couldn't meet me, and I drove to High Point because I rode with him.
Is that a far drive at that point in time?
It's like 30 minutes.
Okay, so it's a
I
far
don't
drive.
even have my
Taking your mom's
license.
car, yeah.
And now I'm driving to High Point, you know, and this is like the beginning of like the things that you said you never think you're going to do. Like when you are a strung out addict, you're going to do whatever you need to do to not feel that discomfort.
Of course.
So, I know I could go on.
No,
but
keep going on. This
That
was
was
good.
that was the beginning of like.
So you drove
Yeah.
there, and what was your experience like after when you met him? That
Well, I
first day
didn't
you realized
find
you were
it. I didn't get it.
Oh, you didn't get it after you took your mom's car and drove for 30 minutes?
No, I'm driving around. Hey man, do you know where I can find the boy? Like trying to find somebody to get it, and I
No
don't get
way.
it. And then I
I thought
think
you were
I just
meeting
stayed
dude
sick.
over there.
And then one of my good friends, the one that was selling me the weed, he was 3 years older than me. He's still in my life today. Was the best man at my wedding this past year. He and I had gotten really close, and he was like someone I looked up to, was cool, sold weed, and he ended up going to rehab for coke when I was like a freshman in high school. And I didn't know anything about rehab at the time, but I remembered that he went to rehab, obviously, and kind of like disappeared. And he happened to call me, I think it was like maybe within a few nights of me not being able to get it, and was like, hey man, I'm selling my Land Rover if you're interested in buying it, because I was selling weed at that time for a 15, 16-year-old kid. I had a decent amount of money saved at that point, and I broke down on the phone crying to him and was like, man, like, what is rehab like?
No
you know, I
shit.
started asking him and tell him that I'm like, things are not okay. And that's when I got off the phone with him. I went to my safe in the closet and pulled out the needles and walked out of my room to the living room and went to my mom and said I needed help. And that was me 15 years old. And so I went to like a...
You were strung out at 15. At that age, you walked out there and said, I need help.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's courageous.
Yeah. Truly.
Yeah. So that was, I went to the first, like, kind of like outpatient community at 15 and did that for 3 months, and then after 3 months of that, and this is where it's like my parents not knowing any better, not, their parents don't want, half the time, I'm sure you probably experience this with your parents, like you don't want to think that your kid is doomed for life.
For sure.
You don't want to, especially at that age, and so at 3 months into this treatment center, I'm 15, and like all of my friends are out like drinking. They never had a heroin problem, but they like to get down on the weekends and have fun, and some people more than others, and they were fine. And I had this major just feeling of like I'm missing out. It got
100%.
bored to me, like being with all these kids, like all doing nothing, eating candy and playing video games all day, going nowhere. And so I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And so I said to my mom and dad, I'm like, I don't want to, the program was called Insight. And
oh shit.
I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. I didn't come here to stop drinking and smoking weed. I came here to get off heroin.
Yeah, at 15.
And so eventually they're like, okay. And so I start hanging out with some old friends. Before you know it, 2 weeks later, I'm in the back of my friend's Mitsubishi Montero, and I hear them say a name that I know is a dope dealer's name. And I'm like, shit, I guess I'm in the car headed to the dope dealer. And I'm like, I won't let it get out of control.
Of course.
I'm going to do it back. And then before you know it, I'm back off to the races.
Shooting heroin
that was
again.
like my life on and off for 11 years. And as that went on, it was like, eventually I'm taking it to the next level. And the movie Blow had come out around that time. And I'm watching that movie and I'm like fantasizing. And like, that's like what
you're like,
like,
that's
aspire
me.
to
I
be.
want to,
I want to
like,
be that.
I want to
That's
have
cool.
that money. I want to have those girls. I want to do
Power,
what I want to do and be
drugs.
able to tell people fuck you. And so it wasn't just like the drugs at that point. It was like this lifestyle. Like I got off on that lifestyle at a very young age. I loved hustling. I loved to see the cash.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know that I had it, Dean had it too, because we lived in that lifestyle for like a decade. Like at the time, we're like, it's not cool anymore, right? Not that it was. I thought it was cool at one point, but I
What
guess
part was it cool? Like a glamorous, get money.
I mean, like when you're like 19 and you're counting $250,000 in your fucking house, rented fucking house with your best friends, and
Dean, is that true? $250,000?
Something like that.
Outside, there's like an
Close
Escalade
to.
on 24s and an Avalanche on 26-inch spinners, and like it's like you're living like Alpha Dog movie came out, and it's like you're doing those things that are like depicted on the screen, but we've all done work on ourselves. And what I wanted to ask you, like 10 or 15 minutes ago, is I guess it's a two-part question for everybody. Is like I also got down with a lot of people that could like do blow on the weekends, and then school starts on Monday and they're at school.
Yeah.
Whereas like
Piss me the fuck off.
it's Sunday at 5 a.m. and I'm still blowing coke, and there's no way I'm going to class on Monday. Or same even with Roxy. Some people would like when I was at Arkansas, like it was like a lot of people did pills, but they just did pills on the weekend, and then they were like studious kids.
That's actually how
Or
my
like-
Roxy addiction happened. These fuckers, they knew who they are. No, I'm not going to blame them. But a bunch of my friends, they got these things called R's. They're like, we got R's this summer. It would be like once a summer. Like, yeah, we know this doctor. We're going to get this. And they brought it around. I had no idea what it was. Years later, I'm hooked on this shit, and they just did it every now and then. They still do coke on the weekends these days, whatever. But like, obviously, they didn't happen to me. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Yeah,
you're good.
that's what it is.
Absolutely. But I also had this part of me too that would like push things, like
Okay.
always, like press, like why only sell a QP when we can sell a pound? Why only sell a pound when we can sell 10? Why am I buying a gram of coke when everyone else around me does coke, and I can just buy an ounce and sell it to them, and then mine will be free? So that's how like my mind operated on a baseline. But then also, as far as like even going back to high school and like having this persona, part of it was like coupled with this like need for attention
Of course.
and power. But I think it all stemmed from a place of being like insecure, because I didn't need to do, yes, I wanted the materialistic things, but I didn't need to like risk my freedoms. I mean, to the point of like where I'm getting pistol whipped and guns cocked at my head, of like being robbed. Like I didn't need to be putting myself in those situations to attain those things to make me feel that like I was important, but I was so convoluted in like who I thought I was with the stage character, who I really was internally as like a scared boy that didn't really know how to like properly have, you know, real conversations and let people in. I always had to like show this like tough side, and it was like it was difficult, to say the least. And then it just, you start coupling all these drugs and then more money on top. You start thinking that you're invincible.
Of course.
Right? Like, come back to Texas without a pot to piss in, and then like a few months later I have like 30 or 40 grand. Not that that's like a lot of money, but when you're in college,
It's a lot of money.
you know, it's
Yeah, you're getting money in college with that type of cash in your pocket.
yeah, but like I guess what I'm trying to say also is like some people could like do those things on the weekend. I couldn't. It was tough for me to ever like detach from that person. Like I can't.
Yeah.
I also don't do things half-ass. I'm like either like all in, or I'm not doing it at all. And I just, you know, I'm grateful that I was able to like channel that and be on the other side. But I just think it's like an interesting thing to look at. Is like how did those things manifest? Because today they manifest in different ways. Like my mind knows and my body knows. I'm not saying I'm immune from ever picking up a needle and doing heroin again, but I've done enough work that like even when it crosses my mind, it's like I laugh at it. It's a joke. I'm not going to do that right now, right? But it's like those feelings are still there. I've just been able to do work and like move past actually acting on those crazy thoughts, whereas before I had the inability to do so. You know, and the amount of people that you like hang around yourself to get the things that you need to get, it's a whole like seedy lifestyle, you know?
Of course it is. Dean,
100%.
was Dean, your experience hand in hand with Shane, or are you just watching your brother just wild out, selling this shit, whatever, and you're just doing your own thing, getting high?
No, I think our experience was pretty hand in hand, especially when he moved to Texas after being in Arkansas and Arizona. But, you know, like being 11 months apart, there was always like this competitive nature, brothers, me looking up to him looking up to me.
Yes.
You know, close in age, did everything together. And so, you know, when we were in Texas together, it was like we were negatively impacting each other.
Sure.
While feeling like we were supporting each other.
Of course.
You know,
with drugs, with money,
yeah,
with whatever
exactly.
To support,
just
whatever
like whatever.
facade you guys
Like
were painting.
I remember when I first got back to Texas, and I went and saw like, you know, you were like selling drugs or whatever, and I mean, I like this. I was like proud. I was like, this guy, like more or less is doing what he saw me do, and he's being very, very successful at it, and it gave me like a sense of like I was proud.
Yeah.
As sick as that kind of like sounds, you know, instead of like being proud that you were, you know, a 4.0 student, I was proud that you were supplying all your fraternity brothers and friends with drugs.
Right. We just, you know, we just didn't know any better. Like we did, but we didn't. Right.
Yeah.
Like that was like, though at the time, like we had girlfriends and we had like regular friends, and that was just what it was. And like those, unfortunately, like those were the goals.
Sure.
Like, yeah, like get this, get that, you know. And I, you know, something I thought about tonight when Ryan was saying like he was the first one to try it, like we were typically like the first ones to like cross certain lines, and to tie that into like, I think everyone in this room is like a natural born leader.
Sure.
Right. And so like we all kind of like had our crews of like 6 or 7 really good friends and homies, and would like play the video games and sports, and like, you know, but people would follow us.
Sure.
Like people would follow our lead. And
You
like,
had influence over people because of that.
yeah, and like, and not even like necessarily consciously or aware of it, but
No, but
but
by
we
default,
did.
by default,
By
that's just how it
default.
was. Yeah.
And so, you know, now
And that probably helped you guys like perpetuate that fucking facade you guys had, making you guys feel invincible because you said you probably anything you wanted to have happen happened.
Well, it just like reinforced it even at like a very young age. So, for example, you said you had a lot of absences in high school. Like I had 86 unexcused absences senior year. People were getting truancy for having 23.
yeah.
I went into the office.
Dude, we just worked the system.
I just went into the office and
friends
he's
with
like,
the counselor.
yeah, he's like one lunch detention for 86 unexcused, because I had a good GPA and everybody like loved me,
people
right? I was
loved us.
admired, whatever.
Yeah.
But like
We
even
got away with shit. A lot
so
of shit.
much
here.
shit,
Like,
dude.
and then, you know, living through a decade of just madness.
Sure.
And like I'd lived in New York City for a little bit, and I was in Austin and whatever. Like there just came a time, like I know this, your guys' show and podcast is about like redemption and
Yeah.
resilience. Like there just came a time where I'm like, I'm fucking over this shit. I'm spiritually broken.
Yeah.
I'm like a shell of a person. I'm like
Yeah.
green and yellow and like
Of course.
I'm not looking so good, but I think I'm looking good because I'm really skinny.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and there just came a time like Shane had gone to treatment and I was just like living at home, living with mom. Like I still had like a little cash like stashed away.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't doing shit with my life. And I'm like, man, like we always used to joke and say like if we're still 30 years old and doing the shit, life's over. Like it's fucking game
Wow.
over, losers forever. And like that,
No
neither of
shit.
us felt like that was our path or our destiny.
Yeah.
And you know, friend, like really, really good friends, two of his best friends that I consider like family to me, you know, had overdosed and died. And, you know, I think there was like some blame put forth because we were the leaders.
Because you guys were the ones that kicked it off.
Unfortunately, yeah. But like, you know, everyone makes their own decisions.
course.
But, and like amends have been made since then. And like their family is our family in so many ways.
Yes.
But like people were dying. And even just this year, I had three really good girlfriends pass away from overdoses. One was my high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
One was like my first girlfriend ever at 7 years old. And another friend out here, and all like beautiful, kind, caring women that just got taken by the disease of addiction.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up. Like two of these women had children, you know, like 32 years old, 28 years old. So to go back to what I was saying, I know this is about like redemption and resilience. You know, I sit here like a man in recovery, having like changed some things in my life and done a little work, and I'll be 5 years sober in January. And he'll be 5 years sober in 6 months, and Ryan's 6 years sober, and you've got a couple of years under your belt. So, you know, it's amazing. And now instead of like being that selfish asshole in my disease, not even realizing the destruction that I'm causing to my family and to my friends and to my girlfriends, like you're just so oblivious and so unaware, you know. Now it's like we take all that selfish and self-centered energy and we try to like guide people and walk with people on their journey
100%.
and try to bring light into their
yeah,
life.
you become the hope.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
Through all this dark shit we're talking about, I think that owning this dark shit, it gives so much more light because it's experience that you can actually lead the way.
Yeah, and it's something also to be said. It's like when I get down and I mean I'm in my head and I feel like I'm not enough or I'm not doing enough or I'm not like where I should be. Like the truth is like I shouldn't even be here right now.
Yes.
Like I have some of my dearest friends, as Dean said, passed away. I did just as much, if not more, of those drugs. Like I don't know why I'm here. I mean, I know why I'm here, but I'm saying like it could have easily been the other way around.
People that are dead right now did a lot less of the substances than we did and are not alive. Like it's insane that we have an opportunity to live and like add some value after taking so much value in other people dying.
And more so, it's a responsibility to be like, I can't sit around and just mope and waste time because people are because
dying.
We carry a strong message, we carry light, we carry things that like, and this is really just a message to anyone out there that's struggling, is that it's like never too late.
No.
Like when I came and saw you, bro, you didn't even shoot dope the last time I saw you. When I met you, like all your arms were completely like
fine.
Yeah, but I'm saying when I saw you, like the destruction that you've done to yourself to the man that you are now 2 years later, it's like it's impossible, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're
a miracle.
Thank you, and you helped pave the way because of the shit you did. Because you and I had, and I guess Dean as well, similar upbringings. Same social interactions, same status in our groups of friends at college, same like privileges afforded to us because it's just like how we were brought up. And if it wasn't for you, let's call it, for lack of better terms, fucking up your life or making the mistakes you made, I wouldn't be able to be sitting here right now. I truly believe that, talking like this. The relationships that I have with people. Like it's an interesting like snowball effect or something like that. Like
but it's
it's
you know,
amazing.
when you're in it though. It's like it's so hard to like understand.
It's
like
not possible.
Everything happens for a reason. Like it's when you're in it, it's just like so hard, and it's so easy to fall prey to being a victim of your circumstances. And
Yes.
like there's a lot of divine intervention and godliness
I
in
agree.
all of this, and searching for God and seeking God. And I know I did my fair share of that with psychedelics and with substances, and like just like always like striving and reaching for like the thing I know is there, you know, and I'm like reaching for it externally when it's really just like inside me. It's hard to have to be able to muster up the courage to reach out, to ask for help.
To think it's possible.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
like you don't know anything else.
I mean, you
Like,
become
you just get stuck.
No, because
and I
when you're
get
in that
it.
mindset, your best ideas that day is like, how am I going to shoot drugs? Like that's insane
Yeah.
for me. For us to sit here, like, hey, that's the solution to whatever the fuck's going on. This didn't go right. That didn't go right. Hey, this is what I do. This is what I default to today. As we sit here, I'd like to think that we're in a much more sane state of mind. Like that's like not a thing. Shane just said he laughs about that. Of course, thoughts come across your head, but it's like I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
However,
Well, they're like
that
like
was the
trivial,
only
whereas
option.
Before it
was the
would
only
fully
option.
set off this inner body like chemical reaction where
Yes.
it's like my mind is made up, even though I just got out of a psych ward and I'm playing Halo, just chilling. I'm like, okay, I feel stabilized, and I get a text message, and it's like, boom, I dropped the Xbox controller, and I love Halo. Used to be one of my favorite games, and I'm out the door, and I'm going to get high. Like today, I've been removed, and I've done work, and that's not the case. But you know, it's a very powerful and sinister thing when you're in the loop of it. But I also want to say that like being in enough pain is the only way that I finally was like submitting to the process, whatever that meant. Because if you're resilient, like we were resilient, or like I was resilient, you tried every single thing imaginable, because we always take the shortcut route, and you know that there's no shortcuts in like overcoming your demons that you have inside of you. It's like
Dude,
you have to face them internally, and you have to do the work.
Did you guys struggle with this ego about it? Because you said things like we would get away with shit. Like in the same vein of like I had 86 absences, but I had to do a lunch detention. Did you guys? I don't know if you had that same experience, but for me, I always thought shit didn't apply to me with addiction. Even like, this heroin
like
addiction, I'm above this. Kind of like
who
you
the
said.
fuck are you?
You
Bro?
might with my attitude, but like when you
know?
first met me, like dude. I don't shoot drugs, Shane. Like I just smoke drugs. Like I'm like better or something. Like come on, dog. Not for me. Was that ever your experience too? You guys had it.
100%.
Always.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
the
from a
audacity
very
to have
young
that ego.
age, I grew up with a mom that was like, "Oh, we can skip the line."
Yes.
So like I automatically
Mhm.
had this. If you can get away with it, it's okay.
Right.
Like that was like an underlying theme and my decision making process.
Yeah, like when I would
after
go,
I got caught,
It made
many
you
times
feel like
with
you were
legal
special, like
trouble,
you
but,
were an
somehow
exception to
I'm
the rule.
different. I remember sitting in a rehab in Florida on the balcony, looking out at everybody and like thinking like, yeah, these people they're
Bums.
weirdos. I'm
well,
like,
yeah,
Bums.
I think
Yeah,
that also
bums.
comes from like
Losers.
the experiences that like we have that show like we're not different. We're really all the same.
Yeah.
We're all
It took a long
connected
time to
more
realize
so
that.
than anyone could ever imagine. But like your experiences in life at 16, having enough money to go buy a Land Rover when kids are getting lunch money from their parents makes you think that you're different than them,
100%.
right? When I'm in AA and I have like, and I'm like hearing these like amazing stories or CA, right? And I'm like, but like this guy don't have shit. Like I'm way better looking than him. And like I make more than he makes in a month, and he works every day. Like, but that's just like, that's like bullshit ego. Right?
Yes.
The truth is, I just wanted to say to this man, like, I'm so scared. I can't express like the way that I feel in a like grown up enough way, because I either get angry and I shut off, or like I blame my parents' divorce that really I never even felt, because I was away at college, like doing my own things. But that was my scapegoat to my mom for many years. Was
Right.
like,
That's not real.
it's not real at all. Like I love my parents wholeheartedly, and I want what's best for them. And even though it was painful,
You were a
and
lot
hurt,
younger.
But instead,
Right?
but you
Like, we were
defaulted.
already.
yeah. But I like to blame other
That's
people
right. You
for my
defaulted to
thing. Like,
blame.
that was his fault.
So you
for
look-
doing
didn't
that.
really affect
You
me,
looked at
or
these
I-
people
I
instead
don't
of
think-
expressing that fear or your discomfort. You're like, I make more than him. I'm
It's
better
weird,
looking than
because
him.
I was
I'm this.
emotionally like a 15-year-old. I didn't know how to like cope as a 23 or 24-year-old. But a question I wanted to pose, and I think everyone's responses will be interesting and very profound. You guys work with like a lot of people and have worked with a lot of people and have been in that the mental health field for a long time. How do your clients or the people you've been around and the people that you mentor or coach, how do they come to about finding meaning and purpose?
So for me, like I guess my approach and Ryan's approach, Ryan can share his thoughts, but it's like baby steps, right? So like first is like the removal of substances, like the stabilization of, medication, and like just getting them right, and like sleep, and like just like a pause in life, right? And that's like step one, is like stabilization. Like, let's get you out of whatever environment is causing you to behave in this way and creating these circumstances for you. And that could be your friends, that could be your parents, like whatever it is, right? Like let's get you out of that, stabilize, and then like let's put some people in your life that can show you a couple things, right? So it just starts with that. Like, it's not so much necessarily for us about sobriety as it is like when I think about like recovery, that's like a nice overarching word, as is wellness, right? Like, what does it mean to have a life of wellness? It's not just like, I don't use drugs and alcohol. It's like, oh, okay, like you've never worked a job in your life, like, or maybe like you sold a lot of drugs like we did. Like, go humble yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, I went and worked for a catering company.
Dude, you worked
while
as
we were
a
at Beit
fucking. You
Shuva,
worked with an intern with me, making stipend money as the
making
account manager.
$6 an hour. So
Yeah.
that's a step, right? That's like, that was a step for me, is like, I need to like really like humble myself, right? And I will tie this all back to meaning and purpose, but it's just like baby steps. It's like the removal of substances or behaviors or whatever it is, and then it's like putting some good people in their life, and then it's like reconnecting to hobbies. And for me, that was like basketball, tennis. I love playing tennis, golf, being outside, swimming in the ocean, whatever it is, taking trips, traveling. So it's like getting back to like the things that brought you joy and like spark joy, right? That gives me like meaning and purpose, right? And like, I also was a basketball coach at the YMCA for like 11 and 12-year-olds in my sobriety, and we won the championship. And like, that brought me like a lot of purpose and meaning.
Of course.
We would meet twice a week and we'd have games on Sundays. And so, with the people that we help, it's just like baby steps, and it's like, they'll fuck up and we'll show up. And just continue showing up. Let them know we're not going to abandon you. You're not by yourself. Kicked out of this place, I'm right here. Kicked out of this place, I'm right here.
With one particular
So
individual,
like,
I know that to be very true.
So just like keep showing up and take the baby steps that they need and help them get a job. Like, I can think of someone that you helped, that we both helped, that's doing really well, and like, she's got a job and she's got an apartment and like she smiles now. And a year ago it was like the fucking sky is falling and I hate everyone and I fucking hate my family, and like shit's good now, and it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. So it's a great question, and there's like so many like little magic to sprinkle in and introduce to the right person and get the right sponsor and get the right therapist, and it's like, it's so many things that lead to a life of wellness.
But that purpose you're finding in that meaning is literally the spark of their life turning on. But
exactly.
But you're giving them that spark because of your experience. It's
right.
not just like theory. It's just like, because I was this far down in a hole or in darkness, so to speak, I'm able to turn the light on for that person.
Totally. And their experience, their life experience can be like completely different than mine.
But the underlying feelings.
I know the
despair,
shame and the guilt and the struggles.
I think that's
like,
universal, because I used to separate myself like, well, you don't do that, I do this. I would always look for the differences instead
but it's
of.
not about that.
He actually told me to start looking for similarities, even just like reading like, hey, no, just look for the similarities. That would be that this is why I'm different.
Right.
Once I realized
one breeds disconnection and one breeds connection.
Well said.
Right. What's your perspective?
100%.
So, we are like, shout out to Beit Shuva
and Chabad.
Like, what amazing places. But like, I really needed that community, and like those
and the people in there that lead the way
amazing
and show shit is
amazing.
like shit is possible. Because to me, and I've said this, it's like there's people with doctor in their name or whatever, like they never help me like people like us sitting here help me.
Mhm.
Like the people that are going through it. And I think that's super important. It's not like you guys are walking around like, I have a PhD in this and that. It's
We're
like,
real quick to tell you, like, we're not
Yeah.
therapists and doctors. Not there's no discount there. It's just like I am not that.
yeah, no,
like,
but there's,
I'm not.
I know you know that, but I think that for people listening, people out in the world that I've come into interaction with, it's like, oh, well, that person is a
right.
Dr. Drew
Stanford
says this, like the
PhD.
Stanford PhD. It's like, okay, I get that. That's tight and all. There's some value there. Don't get me wrong. But in my experience, and people that are very close to me, people that are wiser than me, further down the path, that have changed their life radically, it's not just they've been like.
It's not a lot of those people.
It's not a lot of them. They
It's-
might have been sprinkled in, the therapist,
Yeah,
the doctor
no,
there,
there's
but
some
it's
of that.
you shooting dope at 15 years old and you doing wild shit with $250,000 in high school, doing some fucked up shit, shooting speedballs and tricking your brother, and then fucking off your life and experiencing death and loss and despair and shame, and then being like, hey man, this is how I walk through that shit, and you just keep showing up like you said and just showing it's possible, and then you're a consistent human being, and then you exude that through the way you talk, you speak, you act. That's the shit that resonates.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy fuck, dude. And I think people in our position, especially you guys with what you're doing, should get a lot more fucking money. I'm sure you guys like to hear that, but it's just like there's like it's truly saving lives. Think about that. What you said that resonated with me, that gave you goosebumps. This woman smiles now. Like that was hard for me to like smile.
Mhm.
I remember like people like a change in life was when people started saying I love you, and like not hearing that. People in our positions go through such a long period of time not hearing I love you, not smiling, not
Right.
seeing hope, and then people like Shane, you all of a sudden are just like, hey, this is what it is. Not only am I good enough to succeed and have these great things, but I'm good enough to have my heart broken, be let down, to fail, all these things, and this is how you deal with it. And that's
Mhm.
fucking empowering shit. I think that's like the work.
Yeah.
That's the purpose, I guess, or the
That-
meaning to tie in with that.
Exactly. Yep. I agree.
You agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think that Dean did a really, like, I don't know if I could have said it much better as far as the meaning and purpose goes.
Yeah.
You know, what I'll add to it, I guess, is that meaning and purpose is going to be totally different for each person. And, you know, our philosophy essentially is there are many ways to the top of the mountain. And for me, like that is so close to my heart, because starting at a young age with a family that was very ignorant to addiction, and not to their fault, it just, you don't expect your family member to have the type of issues that any of us
Yeah, there's
had.
not
I mean,
the-
when you
there's
go to
no
have
manual.
kids, you're not like, let me have a kid that's gonna shoot speedballs and
Yeah,
sell
and then give me a
drugs.
manual of how to deal with my
Right.
child
It's
that's
not
a
a
heroin
thing.
addict.
Yeah.
So what I saw was like, I'm the guy that tried the methadone, I tried the Suboxone, I tried the Florida rehab, tried the LA rehab, tried the faith-based rehab, and
Yeah.
I saw people get well through each one of them, and they could have very well gotten well at any one of those others.
Okay.
And what I've also seen is that treatment centers keep on opening up. People still have these same issues. And what I've seen is that if there was like this one way of doing it, there'd be a line across the country of everybody waiting for you to see that person.
Sure.
But that doesn't exist. And so what was hard for me as a young person that already struggled with ego or whatever, wanting to have my own way and feel some support in that. I was trying to get sober initially in North Carolina, which very conservative. You go to AA meeting and it's like, if you don't say nothing for 30 days. And I'm like, dude, I'm 15, 16 years old and I can't say anything in the meeting. Like, it just felt very like not supportive. And if I don't do it this way, I'm doomed. And that, like, I hated that with a passion. And so over the years, like working in treatment for over 5 years and seeing how different people communicate with people, I've gotten to the place, and Dean is the same way, is like, we want to help people find their way, not my way, not Dean's way, but like, what is your way? Because what I do could kill you, could kill him, could kill anybody.
Sure.
What somebody else does may not have worked for me. And so the meaning and purpose is like, we want to just lay things out in your life. Obviously, there are some things that are universal, like for a drug addict that's a severe drug addict, like we need to, like Dean said, get you sober first and foremost. Like that's going to be the same for anybody. But from beyond that, I mean, I think Dean hit on it very well. It's like we'll start to introduce them, whether it's people, things, groups, whatever, so that they have an opportunity to have discoveries, essentially.
Sure.
I don't know what it's going to be for
So you're
them.
greasing the wheels for them. They have to get it spinning. It's like, hey, this is not my way, the only way. But look at, I've been down this road. Here's kind of a fucking here. Find your way, but it's not that way which you're going, essentially.
Yeah, and to this is another big thing for me is for them to feel supported and
Right.
trying their way.
Yep.
Got it. I
And
love
so
that.
sometimes
love
what they might want to do isn't necessarily what I think is best. But what I saw in my experience was I always had this reservation about that thing that I didn't get to do. And I always went to try out that thing that I didn't get to do. And because there wasn't support around that thing that I initially wanted to attempt, I felt like I was on my own attempting that thing. And if I happened to fail doing that thing, I kept it to myself.
Mhm.
I see.
So for me, it's like I'd rather you try that thing that you may inevitably try, while Dean and I and our whole team is around you to support you in that and say, hey, this probably isn't what we would recommend, unless it's just off the wall ludicrous.
Yes.
Or
But
like Ryan will say, like, we'll let you scrape your knees and like we'll be there to pick you up. Like we'll let you try it, you
Yeah.
know, as long as it's not outlandish and like
Yeah.
it makes some sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because if the person gets to have that experience, for one, it's like the responsibility is put on them. I'm all for AA. I wouldn't be here today without it, but there's a part of AA that I feel like removes a sense of responsibility from the individual. And so when I put it on that person completely, and I'm like, you try your way and we'll support you, and they see, and then they maybe don't have success at their way, it's a lot easier for me when it doesn't work out, if it doesn't work out. And I hope it, obviously I want it to work out.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, it's a lot easier for me to say, look, man, let's go back to the first two
Exactly.
options that we
Now
said
try
and
it
probably
this
would've
way because
recommended.
clearly your way didn't
and
work.
they're more likely to listen.
Right.
Well, it builds a sense of trust.
Yeah, sense
Right.
of trust. It breeds autonomy.
Mm.
It's like the people we work with, we call them participants. Like we really like want you to participate in this collaboration.
Yes.
You're not like a client or a case number or like a headache
Or like an
right?
experiment.
Yeah,
right?
it's like
Yeah.
you're not like a case. Like
Yeah.
case number 978,
Yeah,
It's,
I understand that.
you're not in jail, like you're a participant and you're participating in your life.
So you're humanizing the process through doing this.
Yeah, as it
essentially.
should be, I
As
think.
it should be, 100%.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I think another important thing is my experience has been, and it's something that I'm obviously growing and trying to be better at, is like you find out, like you uncover parts of yourself that you didn't know were there when you go out and experience things that you're uncomfortable
Oh, yeah.
doing, and experiencing new things and seeing, oh, like I actually like to do this.
Yes.
Like this actually feels right, and I would have never have done this because I was so rigid in the ways that I think, right?
Mhm.
And today for me, how I correlate, because it, like you both said, it's multifaceted, finding what purpose and meaning is. But today I know that something has meaning and purpose in my life because it, like, I feel that it's right internally.
right.
And
Well
I don't
said.
have to equate it with, should I be doing something different or should I not be doing it? Doesn't matter what I think I should be doing. This feels right. It feels in tune with my spirit. My intuition is on. And that's what I like.
Run with that.
Yeah, that's what I try to live by today. And it's not always perfect, but part of it is like going out and experiencing new things and not being so rigid in what I should be doing or what I think I should be doing, or this didn't work for him and I'm a lot like him. You just like, life is so finite, and we're only here for a specified amount of time. And, every time I'm here and we have these things and we have like amazing guests on, it just reminds me that like we're all imperfectly perfect people and we're all trying to understand and connect with one another in different ways. And sometimes they're not healthy and sometimes they are healthy. And if you take honest stock of what's going on, then you can live a much more successful life moving forward, as far as personal relationships within yourself,
Yes.
health-wise, reading books, expanding the mind. Like the one thing is so amazing is how like receptive and strong our mind is. Like I was listening to a study about this group of people that was given a placebo, and you know, there was a test and there was a placebo, and the people that were given the placebo knew like the side effects, they knew what were going to happen, but they weren't given that pill, and their body actually started mimicking the results of what the actual drug was doing without taking it. So that just shows you, like, if you can really hone in with your mind and practice different things like meditation, reading books, expanding, like the possibilities are limitless. And we limit ourselves with like the limiting beliefs that we have in our head. Like, I don't have time to do the show today. Like, I should be doing other things. I should be making more money. I should be like looking for my wife. Like, I'm getting older. But like the truth is it's perfect exactly the way that it is. Absolutely. And there's plenty of time to do those things, but you got to take actionable steps. And again, finding meaning and purpose, like you both beautifully put it, is definitely like a multifaceted approach. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And that's also been my experience.
I think that was an eloquent way to tie together the meaning and purpose is what I want to tell you. I think we all, I don't know, I'll toot my own horn and just include myself in this, that we all did a great way of answering the meaning and purpose thing. And I think that was a great way of closing that. But to close out the show, we've gotten into your story, tied in with his story, got into your story, but I want to fuse it together because we started with where you guys are at now, what you're doing, then we sprinkled it in with some destruction. But let's talk about the last day of the destruction and then kind of summarize it till now. What was your last day of the destructive path like? Like what was finally the point, the day you tapped out, like that day, and then how did that springboard you to who you can be as someone to save lives and add value?
I was probably...
You're years into your IV drug addiction.
I was like 23 and a half or 24.
So 8.5 years into this addiction?
Yeah, okay. And I'm on probation at the time, house arrest. This is what Dean's referring to, and I can't go within 30 yards of this monitor in my house.
So you became a criminal, as I did. By this point. Yeah, that's the natural
100%. I'm selling drugs. I started robbing people. Like shit that I never thought I would do. And,
like a violent criminal.
I guess so.
No. I'm just trying to give some context to people listening.
100%. I mean,
the statute of limitations is passed.
I was living a very dark lifestyle. It's hard to look back and say, like, man, how it's hard to even.
I wasn't asking that for glorification purposes. I'm giving context to how amazing the transformation is by having you dig into that.
That was my life. I mean, I ran around with some dudes, and if I found out that you had something,
and you wanted it, you
might
took
leave with it.
Yeah, or did leave with it. Got it.
Yeah.
By force or without force.
Yeah. It's just coming with
part of the lifestyle.
So anyway, I ended up in trouble by living the lifestyle that I lived. And unfortunately, I had dealt with the legal system enough to know like the types of places that they sent you to in North Carolina that I would never send somebody if they called me and say, hey, this is going to help your son get sober. They were very just, for me at least, it wasn't where I healed per se. And so when I found myself strung out again after having had experiences with state-funded treatment centers that probation officers sent you to, I wasn't willing to call them and say, hey, I need help.
Okay.
And I knew if I did, I was going to get sent to one of two places likely in North Carolina. So instead, I called my attorney, told him what was going on, and said I'm thinking about going to treatment in Florida. Took my bracelet off the next day, flew to Florida, and was there for close to a year before I fell off for a few weeks. And this was kind of the real end. Is I had fallen off for a few weeks after being in Florida for almost a year, and throughout that time, I was heavily involved in AA, had the home group, but still, like, there was this part of me that was like challenging it and wanting to find other ways. And just there was still a part in my lifestyle where I wasn't living legally. I was still dealing with weed shipments across the country while sober and AA.
And on the run? Yeah. Got it.
And so my sponsor had called me one day, and I broke down on the phone crying, and I wasn't really sure what was going on. And I remember like looking at myself, and you would have thought, oh man, you have such a great life. You live right by the beach. You have a nice car. You have this girl. You have this cash. And I'm like fucking miserable. and I'm sober. And I like went to this place of like, man, if it all burned, what would you be left with? And I'm like trying to like find myself, Ryan, like in a field with nothing. And I'm like, can I be okay? And so that was like the start of like this spiritual kind of internal looking inside of like what really mattered, or how can I be okay? Because all this shit that I have is not making me okay. And I fell off shortly thereafter for 3 weeks. And so the last day of 24 hours of my use, it's actually kind of comical. I'd been using heroin and Xanax again, and you know, I had tried to get sober at my sponsor's house, gave him my credit cards, and still found a way to go to the bank and pull out money. And
Yeah, that shit don't work.
yeah, and so nothing I was doing in Florida was working. And one of the guys was like, man, well, I can get you into a place in California that I knew through my home group. And I'm like, why would I go all the way to California?
Yeah.
I'm in Florida in Del Rey, or I was in Boynton Beach at the time. And so initially I try to go back to where the place that I went when I first got to Florida. I sneak Xanax in, I leave within 24 hours. After I leave that day, that was the last 24 hours of using, and I called the dealer, I got high, and then after that I'm like, I was too ashamed to call my sponsor anymore and tell him I left the place. And so I called this girl that I had some encounters with, and I'm like, hey, can I come over? And
Of course.
I called the dude that told me he could get me into the place in California, and I'm like, hey man, call your friend, I'll go. Like, get me a flight. And at the time I didn't know all that I knew about the industry. I'm sure I was likely being body brokered.
Yeah.
And I go stay at her house that night, and next morning my friend Eric said he'd drive me to the airport. I'm in Boynton, need to get to Fort Lauderdale. I get to his place like in a fog. I hit a parked car, leave a note on the car, go to the airport. He tells me on the way there that, you know, he's like, man, if you have some crack, now would be the time to do it, because I was just in such terrible shape nodding out. And get to the airport. I don't go back for the little crack rock that I did have, even though I never liked crack. And get to the airport, check in. Apparently there was when they go to weigh my bag, there was a gallon of milk in my suitcase.
Nice.
My bag was overweight. I still don't know why. I get arrested on my connecting flight in Cincinnati and wake up in a jail in Boone County, Kentucky, wondering how the hell did I get to Boone County, Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Find a way to get high in Cincinnati, call the guy that got me my flight, get another flight, leave that same day, get dropped off by the guy that bought me the dope in Cincinnati. I guess I was probably in Orange County. I'm not certain of that. And when I get picked up in the van, one of the guys is like, yeah, man, some of us, we still drink. You just got to learn how to control it.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm scared. You know, I'm at the time 25 years old, across the country. I hadn't even told my parents like what had happened. I just kind of went on my own. And, you know, I had told myself I was just going to come out here for a few weeks, get ground back underneath my feet, and go back and sell all my merch at the Dead and Company shows. And instead, I get there that night. I'm scared. I make a post on Facebook. Thank God, at least I made it to LA safely. A girl comments on my post, welcome to the hood. And I'm like, who's this chick? I don't even know her. And then I see our mutual friends are through the band Fish. And I'm like, well, I feel like I can trust her. Long story short, she comes and gets me, brings me to a treatment center in Malibu. And at that point, I'm like, you know, little Ryan from Greensboro, North Carolina, how the hell did I end up in Malibu? I'm in disbelief. I have this cute girl driving me, came to pick me up from
Fucking
Santa
sick.
Monica. I'm like, shit, I'm fucking all
Killing
right,
it.
you know, I'm feeling good. Like, okay, I'm in good hands, thank God. And but the part that I think when it like turned the corner for me, it wasn't like that moment. But the part that I always remember was when I had probably been there for like a week or two. And I'm sitting on the back patio by myself, contemplating calling my buddy in Oregon to sell weed again because I had no money. And I was like having to bum cigarettes. And it was the first time in my life that like I wasn't in a power position. And it was what I needed to be the person that like somebody gave me a pair of shoes to go running because I didn't have running shoes. Or I had to be given packs of cigarettes because I didn't have money anymore and I wasn't selling weed. And I sat there on that patio like by myself, and I started thinking like, what in life could I say to you guys like I know? And I'm talking to myself essentially. I'm like, man, I know people appreciate honesty. I know
Wow.
people appreciate kindness. I know people appreciate hard work, humility, patience, like
Yeah.
the things that, because I didn't have, I was so used to reaching for, I have money, I can do this. I didn't have those external things. And so I looked at it as like, man, I can have all those. I don't need money to have those things. And that was a pivotal moment for me. And I just committed to like, I'm going to do my best to do those things. And
Yes.
so I wouldn't say I have not had any destruction in my life since then, but it's a totally different type of
course.
destruction.
Fair
I'm
to
not
say.
a perfect person today, but I live a pretty damn good
Try to
life.
do your best, huh?
Yeah.
Fair
So
enough.
long answer, but
No, that was the right answer, Dean. You want to tie in what the end of your situation was like, and then we'll tie it back into Spearhead again.
Yeah, I think for me, I was just broken individual.
Of course.
You know, I was just broken. I was spiritually bankrupt, and I had tried like AA without a sponsor. I had flown to Mexico and done Ibogaine in
I
like
did
a
that too.
treatment center and like DMT and
yeah.
like things that I
Just tie
was
it.
like really into.
Doesn't
I'm like, all
work.
right, like let's have like a
Can I
fucking
pause for a second? That fucker Joe Rogan try to say, yeah, that's the cure, man. Fucking, I know this about addiction. Hey, man, you're tight and shit, but that's wrong. Ibogaine does not cure anything. It's an interesting way to detox.
right,
Anyways,
right. Yeah, it's not. There is no
Not cure.
cure. The cure is hard work,
Yes.
I think, and perseverance. But yeah, it was an experience. And what else did I try? Like
everything
tried
you
like the
can think of.
Suboxone maintenance. I
Yes.
tried just smoking weed and taking Xanax. I tried just shooting coke and ketamine, thinking that like excluding the opiates and the dope, that like that
That
was
was the
like
solution.
sober enough. Yeah, like I'm good.
Yes.
I'm okay. So I had tried all those things, and
Okay.
Shane had been out to
Beit
Beit Shuva in Culver City, a nonprofit, and I was like, "Fuck it! Like I'm gonna give this a shot." And they usually don't take siblings. And
Remember
Shane
that
like
whole situation?
fought
I
for
was
me
there,
and
yeah.
like offered to give up his bed and was like, "I'm fucking leaving," and they made an exception, and that was my first like residential treatment experience, and I just never turned back. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
you
done.
truly didn't.
Yeah,
In fact, he got high while you were
yeah.
there.
Shane got high while I was in treatment. Right when I
And then
showed
we
up,
met.
What was
Yeah.
our first interaction? What was it?
I need your piss.
Yeah, I was like, yo,
"What?"
homie, welcome
like
to LA. I
a
need
week
you to piss
sober.
in this bottle. He was
And
like,
you're like, I thought you were sober.
he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. Shane was
God.
crazy. And yeah, I just like, I had done like some short detox, outpatient, whatever, but that was my first experience in residential treatment. And I found like a handful of really good friends there, and just like, man, like I do want to change and I do want a different life. And I also didn't think I was going to stay in Los Angeles,
Sure.
even though like we have some family here and some good friends and some ties to the city. I thought it was going to be, a couple months, go
And
back
then
to
back
Texas.
Okay.
And then it took some time. It took like a year to just like get a year sober and have
Yeah.
an experience and sponsor a guy and go help some people. And it took like a couple years, to really get like my feet under me and start to figure out like what I was into. And, my cousin lives out here. He was really helpful, and the community was really helpful. And, and then started working in the field a couple of years ago, and like everything led me to this pink couch. So,
I want to say
that.
one
Yeah.
thing too, and then I'll tie it all together. But I also had an experience like you did. 4 blocks from the beach, Santa Monica, new car. I was selling coke, 3 months sober. Miserable, dude. Miserable. Reached out to somebody. I felt like putting a bullet in my brain. And I thought I had everything that I needed. And it just goes to, for me, it reaffirms that like materialistic things can't satiate and solve what like I'm lacking internally.
Mm-hmm.
I had more than I had ever needed at that point, and living in an amazing place in California, like, I made it out scotch-free, but, I still had, hell to pay internally, and thank God for that moment. Like 3 months sober, now I'm 4.5 years.
Yeah, I
so
remember
from that
that.
moment, on was really when the work started for me, was in being in so much pain and finally saying, I need help. This is what's going on. This is what I'm doing. And another man was like, I know what you're up to and I love you and you're not the first person to do this, but like, let's get honest and let's do the work. And it changed my life. But also, before I got on that, you were the first person that I really could connect to and be like, well, Dean like got down like I got down. And if he can like change his life while still living in treatment, I was out of treatment at that point. I was like running around LA, like making plays, whatever I was doing. I don't even remember.
That time I would come by your pad, be super fucking envious of you. So it's interesting you say this because you had all this amazing shit and I had no idea you wanted to put a bullet in your ring. I'm like, look at this fool, sick ass Mercedes, dope ass back house, getting all these women. I can't stay sober. I just lost my place to live, and this fool's fucking. I'm selling coke, but I'm not doing. I'm like, this fool's crazy, dude. And then fucking.
Yeah, it was dark. Show. I mean, we can all put on good facades, but it was dark.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to get at.
For sure. But like seeing my brother be able to like stay the path and do what he was supposed to do and keep his head above water and like never really complained, just like kept showing up, and I finally that was like I was. You know, again, we're competitive in nature, but really it was like in competitive healthiness this time, not of like envy or that I'm going to show that I'm better than my brother and that kind of brotherly rivalry that we've always had. But it was like, if he can do it, like, why can't I do it? Like he was just as broken as me. We're cut really from the same cloth. We did the same amount of things. Like if he's really getting results, like I think I can.
Sure.
And so I'm definitely grateful for you and for the universe for, you know, maybe that was the reason why you had to come out here to save me, you know. So thank God for that. And then just wrapping up, I just wanted to say, your guys' company is Spearhead Health.
Yes.
You guys, if anybody wants to check them out, give them a look. They're based here in Los Angeles, and you know, I think you've heard a little bit about their stories, and you know, they're friendly people. Reach out if anyone needs help or wants to talk. Give Ryan or Dean a call. And you know, I just want to say I'm grateful for both of you for being in my life and always showing up when I'm weak, or just always just being real and allowing me to be honest and vulnerable with you. I'm very grateful for the both of you, and Mason as well. And I'm grateful that you guys came out, and I wish everybody, you know, successes in this new coming year. A lot of uncertainty out there, but I know that if we band together and stay positive, that we can all get through this.
Man, I love that. I love corny shit, but that's some real stuff. I truly do. And back to, I don't want to wrap it. I'll say one more thing too. That we touched on this earlier in the show. You do not need to seek people that have MD next to their name, PhD, to save your loved one's life, save your life. It's the types of people that, again, inspire change. And all of us sitting here, from being raging heroin, cocaine addicts and criminals, are the ones with this practical experience. Don't ever discount the value in someone without PhD next to their name has, and that's exactly what's happening with Spearhead Health. You guys are just getting started, but already doing fantastic fucking work, and I don't know what the limit is if you guys just keep trucking forward, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, like,
we also have people with
PhDs.
I know.
on our team.
That's not what I'm saying, but that's not what I'm saying, though.
Knows.
Not
He's
only
joking.
that. Yeah,
it's
not
true,
only
man.
that, though. And I'm not trying to diss the PhDs. It's good to work in unison, but there's a lot of people that talk that shit.
It's not
and
the be-all, end-all. It's just not.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get at, too.
Yeah. Like, your therapist isn't going to, likely, ethically, not going to show up at your house, you know, at midnight.
Precisely.
After a relapse. And
but therapists and doctors are still fucking amazing. What I'm saying
we
is,
need them. Yeah.
You too.
But it's like anyone can be helpful, right?
Yes.
Like anybody.
And that's what
with
how
an
I
experience, anyone you look up
minds.
to. Yeah.
Anyone can be helpful. You don't need to have this quote unquote authority to be a helpful person.
Yeah, no, I think it's someone that's relatable and has the ability to connect on a human-to-human level. Whatever, letters, no letters, doesn't matter. You know, that person's, whoever that is going to
even if they are a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, still.
Oh, one of my most favorite people in my life is a doctor that is also in recovery, that's an incredible human being that
yes.
But I don't know, like, my Suboxone doctor probably wasn't really going to
not a chance
help me very much. It was like, oh, here's your thing. Oh, let me give you your meds. And off you go. You know, I was the patient. There is a major difference when you have somebody that has walked those
Yes.
walks
Yeah.
and can connect. I mean, I remember being the kid in treatment, being assigned an intern social worker that had no experience with
anything.
and
with
not
that
to
you-
say that that person
Yeah.
couldn't have helped me, but where I was in my life, it was like, this dude isn't going to work for me, you know?
Yes.
So to each their own.
And I am we've had a therapy episode, and I'm a big proponent of therapy, especially my therapist, Zach. He's fucking amazing. So again, I know there's people that are doctors that listen. I'm not hating on you guys. I'm just saying the people without doctors next to their names save lives too and change lives too. And I think that they just, in time, hopefully get that due respect because they're doing that kind of work.
Thank you.
It. Spearhead
Yeah.
Health. Spearheadhealth.com.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Spearhead Health on Instagram.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Good show, boys.
Thank
That's
you
a
both
wrap.
so much.
Thank you guys.
Grateful for the opportunity to be here with you guys.
You guys did
My
a
man.
great job.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, puppy. We good?
Good show, guys.
We good?
Nice.
Nice job, guys.
This is cool that you guys do this.
Yeah.